Good evening, anyone who might be there. Good to be live again. Feels like it's been way too long since my last stream, which was Party Chat on Saturday. Itching to get back online and talk to people. So it is another episode of, what are we on? Thursday night? It's open mic. So, and the late night edition. It's about 10 o'clock Pacific. And it works out well for when my guests are also Pacific time zone, even if they're not in my state. But tonight I've got a friend who I've talked to a lot in chat, in a lot of different chats, and he's usually in our chat. But I've convinced him to make his YouTube debut to come online and talk to me about video games. So I will bring in my buddy here, Vanquish. Hello and good evening.
Whoa, it's weird being actually behind the camera and just typing on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Good to see you, buddy.
Get to talk to you face to face.
Yes.
So I basically every time I see you in chat, I always go back and forth like between VanquishAZ and VanquishAZ. So how do you typically?
It's AZ. That's what drives me nuts about it. It's always been VanquishAZ just to say, hey, I'm in Arizona, because it strikes up conversations with people. Like, oh, you're in Arizona, and strike up conversation. But ever since as obviously as since he's so big now, people read it as VanquishAZ. So it doesn't sound. It sounds kind of weird now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know you. Yeah, I know you're in Arizona, so I just wasn't sure how you typically say it. So now that I've got you live, I can settle that debate once and for all.
Yeah. So yeah, it's getting kind of annoying now. It's like I need to come up with a new name because that's how everybody does it. It's like, why you want to say? Why are you saying VanquishAZ? What, you don't like Az? Like, no, it's AZ. Never mind.
I'm just trying to differentiate myself from him.
Yeah, exactly.
Avoid confusion. So, well, I know I asked you this one time on, I think it was one of my solo open mics, and you were in the chat and responding back to me, and I mentioned, brought it up. I probably know the answer, but your name is an awesome game by Platinum. Have you played Vanquish yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, I figured not, but it's a very action, high-paced third-person shooter. It's very underrated. And
I've watched so many videos on that game.
Okay, so you are familiar with it.
Oh, yeah. Very familiar.
Yep. Okay, it's pretty short. You can run through it in probably like 6 to 8 hours on like the normal difficulty. So it's not a big time sink. So if that game looks at all interesting to you, I highly recommend it.
Oh yeah, that's definitely on my backlog. Okay. I might actually have it in my backlog actually.
How, if you had to put a number to it, about how big would you say your backlog is?
It's probably like at 325.
Okay, mine's pretty close to that as well. Because you probably know, because I mentioned it. It seems it comes up like every stream. Like right now, I'm trying not to start any new games until I complete my dive or recover my dive and get back to my completion percentage I was at when I started it. And I dropped from like 91% down to about 61% completion. I'm working my way back up. I'm almost at 88%. So once I recover that dive, I'm starting a ton of new games, and it's about that many. It's like, I think I've got a spreadsheet for it right now. It's like
got a spreadsheet.
It's it's like 1,000 rows long. So it's in depth. But yeah, I've got a lot of games that I'm looking forward to playing at some point. So
don't you ever get frustrated with like achievement hunting when it's like collect 150 pigeons? It's just like, man, that's going to take forever.
Oh,
like was it pigeons? Pigeons, or was it Arkham Knight, the Riddler trophies?
Yeah, the Riddler trophies were in all the Arkham games, and I enjoyed those. I know a lot of people complain about them. It depends on the game, but sometimes I love collectibles. I wouldn't say that I could think of any game where I just flat out hated them, except for maybe the pigeons in GTA 4. I got all of them, and that was a nightmare. I definitely don't ever plan to do that again, I think. But GTA is, not just specifically GTA, but if you heard me talk like at all, I think Rockstar is like the most overrated developer. Not that they're bad, I just think they're overrated. I have basically zero interest in any of their games.
Red Dead 2, man. That's one of my favorites. I love Red Dead 2.
Everyone says it's such a good game, but everything I see of it, I'm like, that. I mean, it might have some really great highs, but it just looks so boring to me.
You know what I find funny about Red Dead 2 is that as I get older, as I get much older, I'm liking like old westerns more and more. So the more I'm watching old westerns, the more I've been re-enjoying Red Dead 2 again.
Okay. Yeah, I've never really been into westerns like movies either, except for my I don't even know how many westerns I've even seen. Not very many, but talked about it in a live chat of something I watched recently. But Tombstone, I've seen a lot of
Yeah,
times because that movie is amazing. I know another one that often gets brought up. I think is Unforgiven.
yeah, Unforgiven.
Is, uh, is that a Eastwood movie?
Unforgiven is Eastwood. I think it's been, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Eastwood.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen very many Clint Eastwood movies, or at least ones that he's been in. I think I've seen more that he's directed, but I've never really been a big fan of them. Not that they're bad, just not a big fan. But yeah, Tombstone, I haven't watched it in a long time, but that movie is amazing. But yeah, just Red Dead, just all the stuff I've seen tons about it, just doesn't seem any interest to me. Any, the GTA
It's a
games.
different, it's a different speed. That game is a totally different speed. Like it's either like fast pace or it's slow. Most of the time it is slow, but man, those highs are high, like you said.
I bet they probably are. I'm just not willing to because I am a completionist and I don't think I would enjoy it that much. So, and that game is like 200 hours or something ridiculous. So that
A
doesn't help
minimum.
it either.
Yeah, minimum.
So, but we got Zombie Toaster in chat. Hello, Zombie Toaster. I don't know that I've seen you here
Oh,
before.
that's my
Yeah.
wife.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Vanquish.
I will
Yes.
say her favorite thing about Red Dead 2 is when I feed people to the gators. That's her favorite thing.
But yeah, I love the simple task. So yeah, like an example of collectibles that I do like, yeah, I like the Riddler trophies because there are like lots of little puzzles a lot of the time. So it's not just like go and collect this. A lot of times it involves like thinking because I love puzzle games. So stuff that involves like thinking and figuring stuff out, I typically really love that. Like the Portal games are amazing. Those are some of the top tier puzzle games. But I love simple puzzle games too, like just ones where you have to move blocks around and get different color keys to open different color doors. They can be super basic. I love basic puzzle games like that too. So, but another collectible that I really liked was in the Crackdown games, all the orbs, because that actually has a physical benefit to the game. Though, as you get more orbs, your skills and different abilities level up and so you can do more stuff. So it has an actual in-game benefit as well. So that definitely, it's not like the worst ones are the ones that don't have any benefit to the game and they're only there for like for an achievement's sake. Those are not fun. But if there's not too many things to collect, then I don't typically have a problem with it.
Yeah, it's got to have purpose in the story in the game. Because it's just annoying. It's like they just throw a bunch of crap in the world, and here you go. Hey, it's filled with content. It's not just a smattering of stuff. Like there's intent and there's purpose to it.
Yeah, like I can't say off the top of my head on the first few Arkham games, but I remember specifically in Arkham Knight, you do have to collect all of them in order to get the real ending of the game. So it does. I don't think it had an in-game benefit, but it did change the ending of the game, which is cool.
I never did that.
Yeah. That's one of the things is I'm pretty sure there was an achievement for it, but I would have done it probably anyways, even if there wasn't an achievement. I really enjoyed. I've enjoyed all the Arkham games. They all have their pros and cons.
Oh yeah.
I think each one of them, because a lot of people say like Origins is terrible because it's
Oh, I love Origins. I loved Origins.
Not Rocksteady, but Origins was awesome as well. I think each one has something that they do better than all the others. So they all have their pros and cons. But yeah, I probably would have done all of the Riddler trophies in Arkham Knight anyways, but there was an achievement tied to it, so that's a benefit and give you the real ending of the game. But if you don't care about that, you could just go look it up on YouTube. And yes, I do have 100% in Portal 2. I have 100% in Portal Staying Alive, which is the Xbox Live Arcade game. The only Portal that I don't have 100% in is the orange box version of Portal because there's the challenges where you have to, and there's 3 different challenges for each test chamber. There's minimum portals, which I like that one because that really gets you thinking outside the box. There's the speed one where you got to do it really fast. Those ones are okay. The ones that I hate and I've never bothered with are the footsteps one where you have to do it in under a certain number of actual steps. And like the thing that's annoying about it is that like one of my steps is like 3 steps in the game. You take like these little itty bitty tiny steps.
Yeah, I remember hearing about those challenges.
So those are I think I got bronze on everything, but I didn't get silver and gold. So those are the 2 achievements I don't have in Orange Box.
So do you really like so you really focus on a game when you're achievement hunting, right? You're not like because me, I got ADD. Like I focus on like at least 3 different games at any one time, like because it's just my mood. Like sometimes I want to play, Cyberpunk or play this or that. Like I can't focus on just one thing. Or when or is it when you're achievement hunting? It's just like that's when you really focus on it. Like it gives you, something to aim for.
Yes and no. Or I should say more so. It kind of depends on the time, because if I'm doing something like, as you probably heard the term that at least I think Paul Hadouken coined it, and I've kind of adopted it, is panic play games before they leave Game Pass. I typically focus on just because when games leave Game Pass, you have 2 weeks to complete it before it leaves. So most games that are in Game Pass that I plan to play I could definitely start and complete them in under the 2-week time frame. The annoying thing is when it's like, oh, 3 of the games I was planning on playing are all leaving in 2 weeks, and then it might become like, okay, I gotta get through these quick. But if it's just one of them, it's usually not an issue. Like right now, I typically have probably like 3 or 4 games in my quick resume on my Xbox. And I'll jump around sometimes. Like right now, I really haven't been feeling anything. Like the one game that's about to leave Game Pass in a couple days, it's a really short game. It's only like 3 or 4 hours, so it's not like I've got to burn through it really quick. I've basically been playing it a few minutes a day. It's called Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion.
My wife literally just started that game today. I kid you not. Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion.
So I've gotten about 40% of the progress so far. I've just been working through it slowly. This weekend I'll probably focus on actually getting through it. It's not terribly long, so I'm not worried about it. But I just haven't really been feeling like playing that. And the game that I've mentioned a bunch of times I've been working on for the last couple of months is Assassin's Creed Syndicate. And I beat the story, and I started the DLC, the Jack the Ripper DLC, and I got the first achievement in that, and I just haven't. I am going to go back and finish it. I just haven't really had the desire to. So right now, I've basically been playing back to my comfort game almost every night this week. I play a little bit of Turnip Boy or Assassin's Creed, and then I go back to playing Subnautica for a few hours.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
I was playing Subnautica about 30 minutes ago for about 15 minutes. They're just like, these games I don't really feel like playing right now, so I'm just going to go play Subnautica because it's like, it feels so good. But then there are other times where like, I'm like, hooked on this game. Any gamer has that time where they're like, addicted to something. It's like, all I want to do is play this game. So when I'm in that mode, then I'm definitely just playing that one thing. Although I can't think of off the top, I have to go look through my games to figure out like what the last game that really hooked me like that was. That wasn't Subnautica.
Yeah, I think the last one that really hooked me and I kept playing over and over was the I got through the expansion for Cyberpunk.
Okay.
The Phantom Liberty.
Phantom Liberty. I've heard that it's good. I've heard more so, especially from Mark on Party Chat, that the 2.0 update is great. I haven't really heard much about Phantom Liberty specifically, whether it's a good DLC or not. I'm assuming it's pretty good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's not as good as I think my personal all-time favorite DLC ever is Witcher 3 Blood and Wine.
I've heard that's one of the top echelon of DLCs of all time.
Yeah. It doesn't match that. I mean, it's good, but it doesn't match that. But that's a tall hill to climb.
Yeah, reaching those heights again, that would take some serious doing. So if it did suppress that, I would definitely be surprised.
And it was cool too because like in the Phantom Liberty DLC, it's got Idris Elba in it. You have a big name Hollywood star, which I get kind of annoyed at when games do that because usually it's just they're in it for a little bit or what have you. Not him. He's in it for the whole thing. I mean, he's not just some guest appearance. Like he's in it through the entire game. He's an actual
Nice.
full and complete character.
Okay, so it's not like a bait and switch where it's like he's all over the marketing and then he like
Yeah,
dies
yeah,
20
he's in the
minutes in.
marketing and he's like in there in one mission and he's gone. It's just like, oh, that's all we could afford. It's a couple of voice lines and paying to have his face on the game itself.
Yeah, looking through my games, probably one of the ones that I kind of really got hooked on for a while was about this time last year. Yeah. Oh no, I finished it in March, but I started it in October of 20, so 3 years ago. It was I mentioned a couple times because I bought it on Mark's recommendation from his video that he did a few years ago. I bought it and started it. Wasn't really feeling it, and then I gave it a real. I focused on it in February this year, and I ended up really liking it more than I thought I would, and that was Blasphemous.
Oh, that's the isn't that the super creepy one? The
It's kind of creepy.
No, I'm
It's
thinking Scorn. No, I'm thinking Scorn.
Scorn. That is a very creepy one. I haven't played that one, but that's very H.R. Geiger esque inspired first person puzzle shooter, I think. But Blasphemous is a pixel art 2D side scrolling Metroidvania with very heavily inspired by like Catholic mythology. So you got like
Sounds like a
angels and
Dante's
demons
Inferno.
and yeah, it's basically like a 2D Dante's Inferno Souls-like game. And so when I first started it in 2020, I wasn't really feeling it after like an hour or two, so I kind of put it down. But earlier this year, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get through Blasphemous, and once I actually really got into it, I really enjoyed it. So I haven't played Blasphemous 2 yet because it just came out in August. But I do plan to play it at some point. I'm looking forward to playing that as well.
So that's kind of like an oddball surprise one for you.
Yeah, I think that was, I might have mentioned that one recently in a party chat on a game that I liked. I ended up liking more than I anticipated. Because, another thing, if you listen to my channel at all, I'm kind of a Metroidvania enthusiast. So basically, all it takes to get me to play it is if it has the Metroidvania genre tag on True Achievements. So, because I do plan to play all of them on Xbox at some point, and I would like to hit number one on the leaderboards. I am currently 20th or so globally, so I'm pretty high up there, but I still have a lot to play. But yeah, so if it's got the Metroidvania genre tag on it, I'm open to playing it. And,
yeah.
I ended up liking it more than I thought I would.
Yeah. One oddball game that I got into, which is not my style at all, but I saw somebody on YouTube playing it. I thought it looked cool, and I played it. I got like 40 hours in it. It's called Dave the Diver.
Oh, I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
Oh, that game's like been cracked to me. So basically, you are a diver. You go into the ocean, you fish, and you capture fish, and you have a sushi restaurant. So by day, you hunt and gather fish and ingredients, and at night you run a sushi restaurant. And then it kind of turns into what was those like burger management games where you got to cook the food and stuff like that and serve it up. So you got to help serve out the food and keep customers happy. Then the cycle repeats. Then the story, I mean, it gets crazy. There's all sorts of crazy mythical creatures and people that come in. I mean, it's like you think it's going to be one thing and it turns into something that's completely different. But just an absolute blast. Pixel art, it's just charming as all hell.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking it up here. Yeah, I'd heard of it, but it's on PC and Switch. So
yeah. Is it on Switch now?
That's what it says here when I Googled it. So yeah, not on Xbox, which is why I don't know much about it. But there is a very similar game from what I've gathered, and I've heard it was kind of like this sleeper hit recently that sounds very much similar to that I do know is on Xbox. It's called Dredge. Have you heard of Dredge?
Yes, I know. Yeah, that's the ship one.
Yeah, it sounds very similar where you drive around your ship during the day and like some creepy things happen at night, but like you have to fish for your restaurant or something. Sounds very similar, but probably a little bit more darker than Dave.
Darker, yeah.
But I've heard from a number of different videos and stuff of people saying like, play Dredge, it's really good. So I don't know if I will, but I've heard good things about it.
That's like on 285 on my list, give or take.
Oh, so it is on there. Or is you just throwing out a random number there?
Yeah, well, random-ish, yeah.
Oh, it's Team 17. Team 17 was the publisher who also published Blasphemous.
Oh, that makes sense.
Let's see. I know Team 17 has done a lot of stuff. Yeah, Blasphemous 2. That's right. They did Moving Out. That was a fun. That would have been even more fun in multiplayer. But that's a fun one, basically like a party game. Night Witch, I played that just recently because it was a free-to-play weekend, so I burned through that. That's another one that I burned through really quickly, and I was focused on it because I only have like 48 hours. I had a free-to-play weekend, so I burned through the whole game in like a day. Because it was quick enough that if you focused on it, you could get it done in the free-to-play time frame. Oh, that's right. Team 17 also did Monster Sanctuary, which is another game that I talked about on that same episode of games I didn't anticipate I would like, but I ended up liking more than I thought because it's basically a Pokemon game. It's a turn-based monster battle game, and I don't like turn-based combat, but I actually ended up really enjoying Monster Sanctuary.
Oh, never into the old Final Fantasies back in the day?
Well, I mean, I was a Nintendo kid, so they were on SNES, but they transferred over to being more of a PlayStation franchise, and I've never owned a PlayStation. But I never had any interest in Final Fantasy either because I've never been a fan of turn-based combat, and that's why I didn't. That to me, for many years, basically the epitome of JRPGs to me was just what RPGs were in general. So it wasn't until I stumbled across Oblivion that I realized RPGs. There's a different type of RPG out there, and that's when I fell in love with RPGs.
Yeah, I think I told you this before. Like my one, I think, ultimate gaming sin I have is that I could never get into Skyrim. Oblivion, yes, I got into Oblivion back in the day, but Skyrim was one I could never get into. And I got like 35 some odd hours in that, and I still can't stick with it because it's one of those things where it's just like I keep trying to hammer, just like I'm supposed to like this. Like there's no reason why I wouldn't like this, but for some reason I can never get into it.
Do you know, like, because they are very similar games? Do you know what it was about Skyrim that
I wish I knew.
Oblivion did?
I feel like I need to talk to like a psychiatrist or something to get to the bottom because I honestly don't know because there's no reason why I shouldn't love that game.
Okay. Yes, kind of similar, although I haven't given it enough of a shot yet. But being a Metroidvania enthusiast, if you talk in Metroidvania circles, basically one of the ones that tops everyone's list is Hollow Knight.
I played that. Yeah,
I've given it about 6 hours so far, and I just have zero desire to play it anymore. I am going to power through it and play through at least play through the story in its entirety at some point. But I'm gonna have to force myself to do it because I have no desire to do it.
That's exactly what happened to me. I got into it like 6 hours, and then it just like it's cool, but just I couldn't stick with it.
Yeah, because Metroidvania's my jam, and this is like the top of everyone's Metroidvania list, and it's like, oh, okay, I can't wait to play it. It's on Game Pass. I did end up buying it anyways because even at full price, it's only like $15. I think I bought it on sale for like $5 or $7.50 or something. So I own it even if it does leave Game Pass. But I'm just not looking forward to it because it hasn't hooked me. Because my favorite Metroidvania is Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and both Ori games hooked me within minutes. I did not want to stop playing them. But I put 6 hours into Hollow Knight, and I just have zero desire to keep playing it.
Ooh, that's like 138, 139 on my list.
If you are a fan of Metroidvanias, I do recommend. If you were only going to play one, I would recommend Will of the Wisp because I think it's far superior. They are both great games, though. So I definitely wouldn't say don't play the first one. And then the other one of my favorites, at least of more modern Metroidvanias, is Shadow Complex. That's a great one. I love that game.
Shadow Complex. Yeah, man, you're throwing out a lot there. Like I thought I knew them all, but
Of course,
Shut
there
up.
are the games that basically created the genre. Essentially, the godfathers of the genre is Super Metroid, which is an excellent game, and then Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is also usually up. Those ones are also usually up there at the top of everyone's Metroidvania list. Both great games. I will take sci-fi over fantasy 9 times out of 10. So
I would too. Yeah.
I like Super Metroid way more than I like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, but they are both great games.
Yeah, that's why I kind of really like the the Liza P. Well, I still love Elden Ring, don't get me wrong, but I love the setting of Liza P. I like those mechanics in that setting.
Yeah, we started off the last party chat where Mark was telling us about Liza P because that's what he's been playing lately. He's saying it's excellent. So I've not played any actual Souls likes. The closest thing is I've played some 2D Souls likes like Blasphemous, and another one that's very similar is Ender Lilies. Very similar 2D Metroidvania. But I've not played. I've started Dark Souls Remastered, and I beat the Asylum Demon, but that's about as far as I've gotten. I'll get back to that at some point. What's up, my good buddy Paul Hadouken? I was mentioning you earlier because I was talking about Panic playing. Let's hear what he says. Neo, I don't think you're connected to your mic. It sounds like a webcam mic. Oh, let me check that. Audio. Microphone, USB camera. Oh, thank you, dude. So let's try. There we go. All right, it should be better.
Now I don't hear you.
Oh, you don't hear me? Okay.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one with mic problems tonight.
Audio input. Well, yeah, what the heck?
Oh, I don't hear you. Oh yeah, I can hear you on the stream, but I can't hear you through Restream.
What the heck? Because Paul says he can hear me now. And does it sound better? Oh, let me try dropping you out and then bringing you back in. That's what Paul's saying. Reconnect him. Does that can you hear me now? No?
Nope.
But does my mic sound better, Paul? This is I was telling Vanquish before we started. This is my very first stream on my new PC. Stream. I got it up and running. So that's probably why my audio settings were off. So thanks for letting me know.
Okay.
Try. I'm gonna try removing you.
Yeah, I completely lost you on my side.
Here. Private chat. But now, so you can probably hear both of us, Paul, but he can't hear me.
I can't hear you.
So I sent him a message in the private chat since he can't hear me. Paul, you made things better and ruined them at the same time. So, all right. Does it sound better now? Does it sound like I'm coming through my good mic here and not my webcam mic? It should, because I changed it, and that's what seemed to break it.
I can hear you now.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I hear you. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good job, Paul. You fixed and broke, and then you fixed everything. Appreciate it. Yeah, this was my everything sounds good. Excellent. Okay. Yeah, so this is my first stream on my new powerful PC, and it defaulted to my webcam mic, and I didn't know until you said something. So thank you for pointing that out. All right, we're all fixed. Yeah, the audio guy, he's a music guy, so
yeah,
he knows all about his audio.
Yeah, sorry I didn't notice before earlier. I'm used to listening on your on my phone, so it's like I didn't register with me that your mic sounds different through the computer.
Well, that's all good now. So
it's my first time on a stream. I was bound to screw something up.
Yeah, mine too. So, well, thank you, Paul. Where were we before we got all this derailed by that? I think I was saying that, yes, Souls likes. I've played a couple of 2Ds like Blasphemous and Ender Lilies. Ender Lilies is very similar to Blasphemous, as is Moonscars, which just recently left Game Pass last month, I think. Another 2D pixel art side-scrolling Souls-like Metroidvania. I did not care for Moonscars that much. I would definitely say Ender Lilies was better. I did like it. Took me a little while to get into Ender Lilies, but once I got into it, I enjoyed it. But of those three, Blasphemous was definitely my favorite. But when it comes to actual full-blooded Souls-like games, the only one I've done is I've done the first, the introductory stage up to beating the Asylum Demon in Dark Souls Remaster, which I will get back to at some point and play through the whole game. But the Souls-like that I am most looking forward to playing at some point is Sekiro. I've heard it's excellent. Probably the hardest of the Souls-likes. But another one I mention all the time because it's one of my favorite games of all time is Ninja Gaiden Black. So we've not gotten any other franchises that are in my opinion, there have been no other franchises that have been similar to Ninja Gaiden. And I know Sekiro is still a Soulsborne and not a hack and slash like Ninja Gaiden is. But I think of the Soulsborne, this is probably going to be the closest to Ninja Gaiden. I would love to get a Ninja Gaiden 4 though, because we haven't really had. I'd say that probably the closest hack and slash I've played to Ninja Gaiden was probably the Force Unleashed games, but Ninja Gaiden is just drastically better than those games.
That's drastically on a whole other skill level.
Yeah. Paul says he just started Liza P recently because it just came to Game Pass on day one recently, and it's dope. Yeah. Yes.
That's why I
played Blasphemous.
That's why I love Game Pass so much, because I would have never played Liza P. I would have never gone on and bought it. Like it was one of those games I saw coming out. It's just like, oh, that looks really cool. One day I'll try it. But hey, it's like it's right there. Like, yeah, I'll try it out. And then the next thing you know, I'm 12 hours in. I mean, it's it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great because you can kind of dip your toes into all sorts of different stuff, and if you don't like it, then you didn't put any money into it, and you can move on to another game. But if you do, then you can play it all the way through, and if you really, really like it, you can buy it at a discount.
Yep.
Although I am very frugal, so I'll usually wait till they go, because games on Game Pass are if you're subscribed to Game Pass, you get a 20% discount on the game. Unfortunately, DLC discount is only 10%. But being a frugal gamer, I usually wait till it's like 40% or more.
Yeah, I'm a Steam gamer, so just whenever they're on sale, Steam's my thing.
Now that I've got my PC up and running, I've bought a few Steam games that were a couple $. Like I bought Black Mesa because I'm looking forward to. I haven't played Half-Life 1 in decades, really. So I know they kind of, it looks way better than Half-Life 2 or Half-Life did way back in the day, and they did some tweaking to it with some quality of life improvement. So I'll be playing that at some point.
Well, it's a passion project. That was a whole passion project. That's not even done by Valve. It's literally just a bunch of modders that got together and said, "Hey, we're going to do this." And then what 10 years later, they finally came out with it.
Yeah, that was one of the cool things that Valve didn't shut them down like probably Nintendo would have done. Like, you can't do that. So that's pretty cool how they are with the community, whereas so many other developers are like, no, you can't develop this, without a permission. They'll shut you down. So I bought that, and I bought a couple other games that I have the discs for, but I don't want to deal with the discs anymore. So I bought Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy, and both KOTORs for like $3 each, and then I bought Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. So
yes,
the best of the Splinter Cells.
My boy Sam Fisher.
Yes. So I'm starting to build up a little bit of a Steam library now that I've got my old computer can pretty much play all those games because they are so old. But one of the other things I'm looking forward to is a lot of the big PlayStation games that I would want to get a PlayStation for. I can only think of one that is not on Steam now. So a lot of those games that I was thinking about getting a PlayStation for, I can just get, and my computer can handle it now. So I'm looking forward to playing some of those, like God of War and Last of Us, and the one that I'm hoping will come to PC at some point, Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah. I really want to play that game.
I have it on PS5 and I've beaten it, but I'll buy it again on PC just to have it on PC. I love that game so much.
Yeah, it
Yeah, that's
looks
an awesome game.
Yeah,
Actually, that's another one that I plowed through. Like I didn't have any trouble. That one had no trouble keeping my attention. I plowed through that whole thing.
And did you do the DLC
Yep.
on that? Is that where you
Icky
go to
Island.
that
Yeah.
other island?
Yeah, the Icky Island.
Icky, yeah. And Mrs. Vanquish says that we need more Alice, American McGee Alice games. I have not played any of them, but I've heard about them on lists often of games that really need like a sequel or a reboot, along with the Legacy of Kain games. Those ones usually get mentioned a lot of the time together, saying like games that need to be revived.
Yeah, the Alice too. It's a tragic story because the game was basically it wasn't started to get worked on yet, but basically all the pre-production was done, all the planning was done. All they needed was the green light and the publisher to start making it. And for whatever reason, I think EA said no for whatever reason. They didn't find it, they didn't find it, financially, fruitful for some odd reason. But it was literally like ready to go. Like they just need the green light, and the EA's like, nah.
Now, does that? Here's the real question: is does that developer still exist? Because EA is notorious for shutting down studios.
Because I know Alice McGee had his own thing. I think he still does, but the license belongs to EA, so he can't make the game until EA gives their blessing. It's a licensing issue.
Okay, Alice Madness Returns is one of those games, right?
Yeah. Madness Returns.
Okay, looks like Spicy Horse is developer, and at least on Xbox, that's the only game they've developed. I want to do. Let's see if they even still exist, because EA's shut down so many good studios. It does.
I mean, that's a horror story in on its own.
It was announced in July 2016 the company is closing its doors to focus on smaller indie development. Shocker. Another one in the graveyard of EA.
But about a year ago, there was news. Like this is a fairly new story. It might have been like a year or two ago, where it was ready to go, ready to go into production, and EA's like, nah, we're gonna hold on to this and not do anything with it. EA.
And Paul, yeah. So Proteus just left Game Pass, and he bought it before it left. I wanted to play it, but I just I don't have time to get into it. I do have it on my wish list though, so if it goes on a good sale, I'm probably gonna buy it because I've heard nothing but good things about Proteus. Do you know about Proteus?
No, I'm Proteus. No, I don't.
It's so are you familiar with the kind of the new genre called boomer shooters?
The boomer shooters.
Yeah, so it's kind of a genre that kind of just
I might need a little education on this.
It's as far as I know, it's probably a new thing. It's kind of funny because it's a new thing that's old. So the boomer shooter genre has kind of just made a appearance within the last year or so, I'd say. And it's basically first person shooters, but they look like they came out in the 90s. So they look like Doom, the original Doom. But they came out like a year ago. So the Proteus is one of them. I heard really great things. Warhammer Bolt Gun is another one. I think another one is called Witchfire. I'm not sure if that one's out yet, but boomer shooters. So
now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, I never knew they were called boomer shooters though.
Yeah, that's kind of. I don't know if there's if you were to go. I don't know if that's like an official industry term, but basically everyone in the gaming community calls them. So they've basically, that's basically what they're called by everyone as the boomer shooter. So I haven't played any of them yet, but they have looked interesting.
Well, it kind of goes into the whole retro thing with me. It's just I enjoy playing some of the older games, but it's just like a fun little trip. I can't stick with the older games. And I know there's a huge community out there, they're all hardcore retro, everything retro is better than anything that came out, in this day and age, I don't subscribe to that at all, but yeah, I can't, I'm just not a retro guy, even though I play a lot of retro stuff. But
yeah,
I just don't have the opinion of it was way better back in the day. I see
where they're coming from. though, especially with like kind of how a lot of video games are now kind of heading in the same direction that movies and TV have. So I definitely understand that. But if you're sticking to if your view of modern day gaming is just the AAA gaming space, I think that's where a lot of that idea comes from. Because
you're gonna hate life.
Yeah, if if that's what you're doing, you're really like shutting yourself off to a huge aspect of games. Because like I wouldn't even say most of the stuff I play is like AAA. I play especially with Game Pass, because you got access to so much stuff that people have never even heard of. I play so much stuff that's indie or single A or double A. It's not AAA. So if you keep your options open, there's tons of good stuff coming out these days. But there's a lot of great stuff from the old days too. So I don't think you should shut yourself off to all modern gaming and go just retro or vice versa. It's like, keep yourself open and play what you want to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Paul's saying he loves the boomer shooters. So
I gotta try one of those. The Warhammer and all that. Yeah, I gotta try one of those.
From what I gathered, not that Bolt Gun was bad, but I think most people who've played Bolt Gun and Proteus say that Proteus is better. If you were going to pick between the two, that's what I would go with. But if I had the option to play both, I probably would. And the missus is saying that you had her play Black Mesa.
I did?
That's what she
Yes,
said.
I did. Yep. That's the kind of guy that's the kind of guy I am.
Did you have her play Half-Life 2 as well?
I think she played Half-Life 2 way back in the day.
Okay.
Because we did the Orange Box, Portal. Yeah, she went through Half-Life 2 and the expansions.
Okay. Yeah, I played because when Half-Life 2 came out was in that range in high school where I was mostly a PC gamer. I had a GameCube and an original Xbox, but I did most of my gaming on my PC. So I've got the original Half-Life 2 disc around here somewhere, and I think
I got mine too. Yep.
I don't even think Steam existed yet, or Steam was basically like people didn't know what Steam was yet, or like I think you had to sign up for Steam in order to play Half-Life 2 because the DRM for Half-Life 2 was built into Steam or something. So this is way back. And so I played Half-Life 2 on PC and episode 1, but in the interim of episode 1 and episode 2 coming out, that's kind of when I switched back to console gaming. So I didn't actually play Half-Life 2 episode 2 until I played it via the Orange Box on my 360.
God, can you imagine like an Orange Box 3 where it actually has like Half-Life episode 3 and Portal 3?
Portal 3. Yeah, like I was
never gonna happen. Never gonna happen.
Valve because they can't count to 3 because they got Portal 1 and 2, Half-Life 1 and 2, Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, Team Fortress 1 and 2. If they had the 3 box and it was Team Fortress 3, Portal 3, Half-Life 3, and Left 4 Dead 3, you know how crazy that would sit?
$1 billion a day. Easy.
That'd probably be one of the biggest selling games of all time. But yeah, I would love to see Half-Life 3, but with how long it's been since Half-Life 2 episode 2 came out, it's kind of like, could they even do it justice? Maybe it's just, there's no plans to ever have a Half-Life 3.
Well, I know they tried. I know they tried that. They had concepts and they actually started it, but then they scrapped it.
They had it was actually not that long ago, sometime within the last year, like a script or something finally came out of like what they were planning on for Half-Life 3. But yeah, there's no plans for there ever to be a Half-Life 3. And I'm kind of okay with that because it's like with how long it's been, I don't think it could live up to the hype and everyone would just be disappointed. Probably something similar to how, I'm not in this space, but from listening to people, there's probably never going to be that final Game of Thrones book.
Yeah. Well,
and even if there was, is it going to live up to the hype?
You live with the disappointment long enough. I mean, you just learn to live with it. That's where I am with the Half-Life. I'm fine. I can live with it.
So
The pain's numbed enough throughout the years.
yeah, if I could pick Valve to do a number 3, it would be Portal. I would, as much as I love Half-Life, I would pick Portal 3 to be the sequel that we get, because I love that game and the puzzles and the co-op. And one thing, I don't know if it came out on the PC version. I never checked, but one thing that they were promising that they scrapped was a level editor. So I was looking forward to basically playing that game forever, because you could go online and download people's levels and play these crazy levels that people in the community come up with. But at least on Xbox, that never happened. I haven't checked on PC to see if that happened, because that very well may have been modded into the game on the PC version. But that was one thing that I was really looking forward to in Portal, and unfortunately never got.
Yeah.
Speaking of Half-Life, though, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, because I haven't. I bet you probably haven't either. But have you had the chance to play Half-Life Alyx?
I don't have the VR stuff.
Yeah, that's
I want to so bad. That Valve Index is like $1,000. And plus,
yeah,
I don't know if I have enough room around here to be able to move around.
Yeah, I've heard because I don't know much about the VR gaming headsets. Like, is the Valve Index the only one that can play? Is it exclusive to the Index?
That's a good question. No, I don't think it is, but like it's obviously the most utilized, because you actually have like the buttons and you can actually manipulate, your fingers and stuff like that. I don't think you just need the Valve Index to do it.
So there are other VR headsets that can play it, but it's best utilized by playing it with the Index, because I've heard that if you are going to play a VR game, that's the one. Like, that is the VR game.
Although I did really like Super Hot, though. I had Super Hot for the PlayStation VR. I love that.
Okay, I would definitely be interested. I haven't played Super Hot on any version, but I know of it well. And I very much considered playing it, but the VR version, that would be pretty cool.
I do want to get the PlayStation VR too. I do kind of like that. I mean, it's not too crazy expensive, and it's got a decent amount of games to it too. Like, I really want to play that Horizon game, the Horizon VR game that got out for it.
Oh yeah, Horizon's another one of the PlayStation franchises that I'd love to play, and the first one is on Steam. I've got on my wish list, and the second one is coming to Steam.
Yep.
So, hey, what's up, X-Wing? Hopping in to say hi. Glad you could hop in and join us for a little bit while we're just talking random video games. This is my open mic, where we just go wherever the video game conversation takes us. So not really much of a plan, whereas as opposed to my party chat is very structured. We talk about specific topics. But thanks for hopping in, X-Wing. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, X-Wing.
But yeah, we're talking about VR. Oh, yeah, the only VR experience I've ever actually had was it's kind of complicated for the family tree, but let's just say it's my nephew. He got one for Christmas, and I played the demo of Beat Saber. And that's a game that if I had a VR headset, I would play the bejesus out of that game, because I love rhythm games. Like, I played a hell of a lot of Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So mixing that with lightsabers, oh my God, I would play the heck out of that game.
I think Guitar Hero is coming back.
You know what? Just yesterday, the top article on True Achievements was saying how dang it, whatever the Activision, I think that's who it was that made the Guitar Hero games, is thinking about reviving Guitar Hero.
You know what's funny is, like, do you ever see the South Park episode where they're playing like Guitar Hero, like they had a band?
Oh, I've seen that episode many times.
I had that moment a couple of weeks ago. Me and the wife, we went to Dave & Buster's, and they had a Guitar Hero machine.
I played that machine at Dave & Buster's,
and it's literally one of those things where I'm like, I remember this, and I sit down on the stool, and I feel like that old guy in those movies that just starts plucking away at the guitar, it's just playing it again. It's all coming back to me. I just feel like this old guy just ding ding ding, and it's just all coming back to me and the memories. I'm like, oh, this is what it's like.
Yeah. X-Wing knows. Heroin
Villain
hero.
hero. Yep.
It's like, stop chasing the dragon. You'll never catch the dragon.
Put down the drink. We need someone on drums.
Hey, if you not tonight, because I do, I invited Vanquish on to kind of be my special guest tonight, but I am definitely open to having you on open mic if you want to come on. I've got one scheduled for next week. But other than that, the rest of my open mic, because I do open mic pretty much every week, whereas Party Chat is every other week. And that one, Party Chat's the one on Saturday, but open mic, I'm kind of flexible, so I can do it basically any night of the week. I typically do it on Thursday, but I'd be happy to have you on open mic and talk video games. So let me know what your availability is. We can get that scheduled. But yeah, the Dave and Buster's Guitar Hero. So I got really good at it. I never completed Guitar Hero 3 on Expert solely because of freaking Raining Blood. I hate Slayer with a burning passion because of that song, because that song doesn't follow a beat like literally every other song that's ever been recorded in history. So it's like, oh my goodness, that game, that song is like there's no beat to it. So I've never been able to beat that one, but I have beaten Guitar Hero 2 on Expert.
Which one was the one with Through the Fire and Flames? Was that the first one or second one?
That's Guitar Hero 3. However, Guitar Hero Through the Fire and Flames is not part of the campaign. It's a bonus song, so you don't need to do it to complete the story mode.
It's just a bonus surprise, because I remember that. Like, oh, I beat the campaign, and then all of a sudden Through the Fire and Flames, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, and there are quite because that's probably the hardest rhythm game song, or the hardest rhythm song in probably any rhythm game. That song specifically probably has like 4 or 5, maybe 6 achievements tied to it. I don't know if I even got any of them. At least because on Expert, that song is insane. But it's funny because the intro of that song is actually done on a piano, not on a guitar in the actual song. Or on a keyboard, I should say.
Yeah, that's one of my predictions. I think that those rhythm games are going to make a huge comeback. I think the timing's right that they're going to make a comeback. Because all these 30 late 30-year-olds like me who played it, then they're going to come out with a new one. Like, well, I'm going to have to play it. Like, they know who their audience is.
Yeah. Well, I know I talked about it on some stream, but they really oversaturated the market, and I think that's why it burned out, because there were so many games in such a short period of time. And then because on the 360 PS3 generation, there were probably, between Guitar Hero and Rock Band, there was probably like 20 games. Xbox One, PS4, there was 2. Rock Band 4, which I never played, and I think Rocksmith was on.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Was on Xbox One. There might be one more. Oh, Guitar Hero Live. They did. Guitar Hero Live, and that one was a flop as well. So there was like 3 games on the next generation, but there was like so many on the previous generation. So I think enough time has passed that it definitely could make a comeback.
Nostalgia makes a lot of money.
Yeah, Paul's saying Rock Band better make a comeback. Yeah, I've still got all my deal. Hopefully the DLC transfers forward, because I know the DLC that you bought in 1 transferred forward to 2 and 2 to 3. I don't know if 3 to 4 did, since it was different generations, but hopefully it does, because I've got a lot. But yeah, I love those rhythm games.
Yeah. So many drunken nights. It's like, oh, put the drink down. We need our drummer. Like, we need you. Get back on drums. Put down the rum and coke. Get back over here.
Was drums your thing too?
Oh, no. My sister was all about the drums.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was all guitar. Like, I could do the expert guitar. I was the only one that can do it.
Nice. Yeah, I did expert guitar and bass and singing, because I didn't have a lot of friends that did Rock Band, or at least ones that weren't very good at it. So in order to get through a lot of the stuff I did it all myself. But drums were the ones that I fell in love with, and I've done the most with drums, and I freaking love it. I'd love to whip my drums out and play some more at some point.
The only song I could actually sing in Rock Band was Oasis Wonderwall. That was
I love that song.
That's the only song I could get through that actually sing right.
That song was my introduction to the band Oasis, because I had never even heard of them. My cousin, he's like, "Hey, Oasis has some songs in Rock Band. You should download them." So I downloaded them, and that was my introduction to Oasis. But I love because on kind of slower songs like that, like Wonderwall was one of the it wasn't that much fun to play on guitar, and it wasn't that much fun to play to sing. But when you sing and play guitar at the same time, that was a lot more fun. And that was one that I could do it because it was, a slower song, and there's not a whole lot of different words, to the lyrics, so it's not hard to memorize that one. So that was a fun one. So, well, what about what have you been playing? What have you been playing lately?
Well, the one thing that I played a lot recently was the RoboCop Rogue City demo.
Okay. I watched James from Melee Games play that.
So you need a little background first before I kind of talk about it. Like, I grew up on RoboCop. RoboCop is one of my all-time favorite movies. I love RoboCop to death. I've been dreaming of a game like that to come out. When
was the last RoboCop game? Was it like a 90s arcade game?
There was one that came out like in the mid 2000s. It was like some garbage. They slapped a name on it, and that was it. And that was the last time that I can remember. I think I still have my NES RoboCop around here somewhere too. But no, when I first heard about it, I actually got kind of excited about it because the same company that made this made a really, really underrated game, Terminator Resistance.
I've heard lots of good things about that one. And one of those lists that I was mentioning earlier of like underrated games, that one's often on the list.
Yeah, double A. Yeah, pure double A.
Yeah, double A. Yeah, I've got it. I just haven't played it yet. It's in my backlog.
Yeah, because it's one of those games where it's like mechanically wise, it's not great, but like story wise and atmosphere and characters, like it literally could be a third Terminator movie. It fits in perfectly. So the people, obviously cared about the source material, to craft a proper story and make the game around that. So when I heard they were making the RoboCop game, I actually got really excited. And so far, I wish games would do this more. It was like a 3-hour, or it took me like 2 hours to get through it. It's like a 3-level demo.
Yeah.
And you just do not see that anymore in modern gaming.
Yeah, that's another thing that's kind of really disappeared. Is just demos in general, at least on consoles. I don't know about PC games because I haven't, played PC games in a long time. But yeah, console demos like basically disappeared. It's like that's something that I think should make a comeback. So anytime a game does have a demo, I'm like, oh, that's a nice change of pace.
Yeah, and it wasn't just some one level demo. I mean, this was a sizable bite of the game. And I was just blown away by it because I got done with the first level and the credits come on the screen. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty cool demo, and then it just kept going. I'm like, whoa, no, this is awesome. And I was just nerding out like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, and then you're just like, okay, I've beaten the end of the level 2, so that must be the end of the demo. It's like, nope, it's still got more. It's like, oh my goodness.
Like, I'm so nitpicky about it. I think I posted it on Twitter, like the game wise, like music, perfect. It's got the score and everything. They got Peter Weller back to do the voice, the original RoboCop back. That's amazing. The one thing they screwed up on was his gun. His gun doesn't sound right. His Auto 9.
Auto 9, yeah, that's right.
The Auto 9 does not sound right. Because in the first level, and it's like, you're thunk and thunk. The music's playing, it's swelling. This is awesome. You guys targeting up. And of course, my first time playing, I got to do the inaugural, first shot I take. It's got to be in the junk, right? That's RoboCop. You got to go for the junk shot.
Oh, okay.
So fire, and just like, oh, everything was perfect. The music's there. His voice is there. The sounds are there. Just like, when it's weird when everything is perfect, like any one little thing just kind of throws it off for me. I mean, it's a nitpick. It's a great game. I mean, I'm definitely gonna buy it when it comes out. But just like my one little nitpick about it, it's like you had literally everything. You had music, you had the voice, you had all you had all the sounds except for this one thing. It's just like why? It makes no sense. It's
That
it's got to be the one thing that's probably like they couldn't get the license for some odd reason. Like I don't know. It's weird.
that reminds me of a small nitpick from their other game that you mentioned, Terminator Resistance. I remember when I watched Angry Joe's review of Terminator Resistance.
Oh, I know what
His
you're gonna say.
nitpick was the lasers are purple. Why can't you get the laser color right? The lasers are supposed to be purple.
But they actually explained it in the game.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually makes sense in the game.
Cool.
I mean, it's not really a spoiler or anything like that. So I can tell you, it's basically like the early version of that, and then the upgraded versions are the proper purple lasers.
Okay, that makes sense. So, yeah, well,
yeah, purple.
I guess if it's got a reasoning in game or in the lore, that's all right. But yeah, if it's just a change for the sake of change, it's like, come on, what difference would it have been to get the color right?
Yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
that's what kind of got I'm excited about. It's like someone's finally like I never thought it would happen because it's Rogue. I mean, it's pretty much a dead franchise, other than people that remember with it growing up.
What, you don't think that the 2014 movie revived the franchise?
You had to mention that, didn't you?
I'm not a huge RoboCop fan. I've only seen the original once. I haven't even seen RoboCop 2 or 3. So I don't really have the nostalgia for it, but I didn't think that the reboot was that bad.
Well, I'll say this in defense of it. It's not a bad movie at all. I actually like the movie. It's just not a good RoboCop
movie.
It's not a bad movie.
Okay.
So
and
I don't dunk on
it.
Yeah, I don't dunk on it as much of like what other people do, but
yeah, I know most people consider it to be a terrible movie. But that's kind of like Buddy Melee James, like when we were talking about Doom, the new ones. Like I freaking love Doom Eternal. It's one of my favorite shooters of all time. And he's like, it's a good game. It's just not a Doom game. It's like, okay, I can understand that, because if you're comparing it to like what the original Dooms were, like, yeah, I get it. But I still freaking love it.
Oh yeah, except for those Marauders.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Those guys gave me. I think I actually did have nightmares of those guys.
Yeah, because he's like saying how Doom is basically keep shooting until everything is dead. But the Marauders, you're just going to be wasting your ammo because you only got that split second to hit them to actually do damage. Which, like, another thing is like, yeah, I get where you're coming from. I still love the game though.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, my wife just reminded me there. Yeah, it was I remember that pandemic game. Because it came out the same day as Animal Crossing.
Yes. So this is actually going to be one of the questions in the next episode of Party Chat, because it's going to be the last one for Halloween. So it's going to be kind of like spooky themes. So, pandemic virus stuff. What's your pandemic game? Yes, Doom Eternal was mine, and I don't give a crap about Animal Crossing. But my other one, because they came out, I think, a day apart, was what I was mentioning earlier. Ori and the Will of the Wisp came out like one day before or after Doom Eternal, and those games are both phenomenal. So they could not have come at a better time. I took Doom Eternal. I remember that game came out the day I started working from home because of lockdown. So I got set up here. Well, my desk was right here before. I moved it here when I started doing my channel so I could use the shelves behind me. But I took a screenshot the day I got set up at home, where I had Doom Eternal on one monitor and I had my work stuff on my other monitor. I don't work there anymore, so it's okay.
Yeah, but I forgot. That game came out at the perfect time.
Yeah, never
finished. I mean, both Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing, they came out at the perfect time.
Yeah, I know. Animal Crossing was like, people love that. I don't get it, but
I don't get it. I don't get it either, but
yeah, I definitely recommend completing Doom Eternal, especially now that both the Ancient God Part 1 and 2 DLCs are out. The ending was pretty awesome. It was very reminiscent of Avengers Endgame. It seemed like it took a lot. Let's see here. Doom Eternal came out before Endgame, didn't it?
No,
Oh,
Endgame came out in 19.
oh, you know what? Doom Eternal. Oh, yeah. Never mind. I'm thinking Doom 2016. But yeah, it definitely seemed like it was very inspired by Endgames. So definitely recommend finishing that up. But yeah, I'm assuming she's saying these are some of our other pandemic games.
Oh,
Doom Eternal.
yeah.
Excellent. BioShock. I'm not as big on BioShock as most people are. Not a bad game. Definitely in the top echelon of games of video game plot twists. But I wasn't a huge fan of it. I did end up playing through it 3 times because I game flied it back in the day, like probably like a month after it came out. And being an achievement hunter, one of the achievements is for collecting all of the audio tapes. And there is one audio tape in the entire game that's missable because it's in this room that once you go in and leave, you can't come back to it. And that's the one I missed. So I had to play through the whole game again to get all the audio tapes. So I was not happy about that. But then I sent it back to GameFly and I had 100% in the game. And then literally like a week later, they released a title update for one additional achievement for beating the game without using the Vita Chambers, which basically beat the game without dying.
Yeah.
Like a week after I sent it back to GameFly. And so it sat uncompleted on my gamer tag for 15 years. I finally, 2 years ago or so, I finally tracked down a used copy and I played through the game again and got that achievement. And I actually enjoyed that. Was so my third playthrough was actually the one I enjoyed the most, playing through BioShock. And God of War, I've never played a God of War game because I don't have a PlayStation, but I'm very much looking forward to playing the rebooted God of War games because they are on PC and I have a PC that can run it now. Oh,
and hooray to that!
And the new, I'm assuming you mean the rebooted Wolfenstein franchise. I've played Old Blood and New Order, and I really enjoyed those. I have not played Wolfenstein 2, New Colossus, but I've played Old Blood and New Order, and I really like those.
And we don't mention Youngblood around here.
What's that?
The Wolfenstein Youngblood. Yeah.
Doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Hell yeah, dude. So yeah, that one doesn't count. That's like the well, it used to be the Crystal Skull, but now I guess you could say the Dial of Disaster. Oh, sorry, Dial of Destiny.
Well, at least we are getting. Maybe the Indiana Jones game will be good.
Oh yeah, that is
no. I got no information on it, but I just know they're making it.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that they are making one. Is it LucasArts? Because
no, they're not.
Because LucasArts ended when Disney bought them. So I'm trying to remember who it is that's working on it.
Oh wait, it's Machine Games and Lucasfilm Games.
Oh, Machine Games. They're the ones who did the Wolfenstein games.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay, that definitely. I did not realize. Yeah, see, Paul, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, I want to say Ubisoft, but that doesn't seem right because I know that Ubisoft is working on the Star Wars Outlaw game,
and they're doing Avatar, I think.
Oh, you're right. They're doing the Far Cry Avatar game essentially. So I'll be interested to see how that turns out. But yeah, Machine Games. Knowing that I did not know that now that until just now that the Indiana Jones games is by Machine Games. So that definitely bumped it up a few pegs on my level of interest.
Yeah, another one kind of similar to Indiana Jones is James Bond. They're making a Bond game made by IO, the guys that made Hitman.
Oh,
which sounds like a perfect. That sounds like a perfect marriage. You know, the Hitman creators and James Bond.
Yeah, I've never played any Hitman games, but I was always interested in them.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of another like Skyrim to me. It's like I'll play for a while and like I just can't get into it, and then I'll come back to it years later. They're good. They're good.
It sounds like you're a stealth game fan since you like Splinter Cell, right?
Oh yeah.
Or is it you just like Splinter Cell? You're not big on stealth in general.
Well, I like the original Thief back in the day.
Okay. The only Thief I've played is Thief 2014, I think it was.
Oh, the bad reboot.
Is it not considered to be a very good game?
Was it that one? It wasn't the one. I thought one of those thieves was just kind of half baked. I could be wrong. But I remember one being.
I don't really know much about the Thief franchise, but I remember thinking that I always wanted to play Thief back in the day because it seemed like a cool franchise. I just never did until I ended up with Thief on Xbox One because I got it, I think, games with gold. So I just got it for free. And I'm like, oh, I finally have access to a Thief game. What's up, Beard Liberty? Hopping in to say, what's up, fellas? Good evening.
Oh, Beard, good to see you.
Say hi. He was my guest of honor on the last party chat.
I was actually able to drop in a little bit last Saturday because I actually had the day off.
Oh, nice. But yeah, I don't know much about the Thief franchise, so I don't know whether the 2014 reboot, assuming it was 2014, whether that one was well regarded or not. I never completed it. I still have to go back to it, but being an achievement hunter, I've kind of probably ruined myself for my enjoyment of the game because in order to get all the achievements in the minimum number of playthroughs possible, you have to play it basically on the hardest mode where even if you're detected, you automatically fail. So it hasn't been quite enjoyable. And it's probably, of my own doing. If I probably played it more so like it was intended to, then it'd probably be a little more fun. But I do plan to go back and complete it at some point.
I guess I consider myself a casual stealth player. Like I don't think I could play a game where just like you're spotted and that's it. That's the whole game.
Yeah, that's not how the game is by default. But you have these toggles and settings, and so that was one because there's a bunch of achievements for like beating the game without killing anyone, without being detected.
Yeah.
If you turn on all these things, if you actually do one of those, it automatically fails you, so you have to reload your checkpoint so you don't accidentally do it and continue on with the game and be like, oh, shoot, I didn't mean to do that, but now it's too late, now I got to play through the whole game again. But Paul says that the Thief reboot was not well regarded.
Yeah,
okay. Doesn't surprise me. So kind of in the same vein, I've started, but I haven't gotten very far, and I do plan to play through all of them, have you done Dishonored?
I got through like maybe half of the first one.
Okay.
Like long time ago. I remember liking it. I don't remember why I stopped. But but Dishonored is really good.
Yeah, I've heard lots of good things about it. I've got Dishonored 2, and Death of the Outsider, and I think Dishonored 3 was just recently announced that they're working on it. But I haven't. I've gotten through the first level of the first Dishonored, so I do plan to go through them all at some point, but also in my backlog.
Yeah, Dishonored. Where was that one? 211, I think, is on my list. Dishonored, the first Dishonored, I think is 211 on my list.
Oh, so you literally have them numbered on a list. So these numbers you've been throwing out are actually numbers, not just
they're numbers. They're numbers I make up, but they're on my list. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay, I thought you were just like that one's lower on the list, so let's just say it was like 187. But you actually have them numbered. I don't even have mine numbered. I just have them, alphabetically. So
yeah, I make it up every time. It might be. It's a very fluid list, so I might be in the mood to play it, so it might go up a little bit higher. It's it doesn't stay the same.
Gotcha. Okay. And Beard says that the OG Xbox Thief game was pretty popular. Cool. I remember seeing the cover of that one, and I was very interested in it, but I never played it. Let's see here. Other stealth games. It's kind of funny how all of the Assassin's Creed games have the stealth genre tag, but a lot of them aren't very stealthy. Even though you're supposed to be, this stealthy assassin.
I'm trying to remember the last time Assassin's Creed was actually stealthy.
Yeah.
First one? I mean, I don't know, because you had the crowds, but you have those in other games too. It just really wasn't. I know you play an assassin, but it just never felt like sneaking, like blending in wasn't a big thing, I guess.
One thing that annoyed me is that they're stealth games supposedly, but you didn't even have a crouch button to actually hide until I want to say it was Unity was the first time you actually had a crouch button.
Actually, Unity kind of ruined the Assassin's Creed games for me
Really?
because I love the parkour system in Unity,
Yeah.
where you hold one button that'll take you up, one button that'll take you down. It
Yeah,
just feels
they made it way
so,
better.
yeah, it feels so much better as opposed to just holding one button and it does everything.
Okay, I thought you were saying like you didn't like the
Well,
in Unity,
in
but
terms of the parkour and like the movement, Unity kind of ruined the other games for me. Although I
you
do
ruined
really
the
like,
rest of them.
yeah,
Gotcha.
but I do
That
really
makes sense.
like in terms of the new ones, I really like Origin. Like Origin, I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Origin and Odyssey at some point. I also have Valhalla. I'm not looking forward to that one as much.
Yeah, I did not like it.
But yeah, I do plan to play them. Eventually. I am still, like I said, I'm still working on Syndicate. I'm getting really close to finishing it. But I'm not going to be probably playing Origin anytime soon. But I have heard of the rebooted Assassin's Creed game. Origins is arguably the the most favored of them.
Yeah. And then they just got
Uh,
bloated. It just got bloated after that, especially in Odyssey. Just like I played, I think I got
huge.
through 3/4 of it, but man, it's huge. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I like a big game and a big map, but like, holy crap, this thing is unwieldy sometimes. And then Valhalla takes that up to the next level.
Yeah, and Ubisoft has the a penchant for you know quantity over quality.
Yeah, it's not.
So I've
Yeah,
heard like I've not played Witcher 3 yet. I have it also in my backlog, but it's also a huge map. But what you're doing in there is just so much more memorable than ticking off check boxes of go here, do this.
Witcher 3 is my all-time favorite game.
I
I got close to 600 hours in that game across
Nice.
PlayStation 4, the Switch, and Steam.
Oh, you played on multiple platforms as
Yep,
well.
that's my
Nice. Yeah,
all-time favorite game.
I'm sure that's a lot of people's favorite game of all time. That's definitely understandable. I'm looking forward to really getting into it at some point. But just it being a huge, massive game definitely bumps it down on the list because I like getting through lots of games.
But it's dense. It's like it's not just bloat. And that's what kind of
Right.
makes me mad about like especially the newer Ubisoft games. It just feels like a lot of bloat. It's
That's
like
where the new Assassin's Creed Mirage, they really toned that down, and
yeah,
it's only like as opposed to Valhalla's like 200-hour completion. Mirage is like a 30-40 hour
yeah.
completion. It's more like the old the original Assassin's Creed game. So definitely bumps it up on the list of like I'd be willing to play this sooner because it is not such a huge massive time sink. But I was Melee K asked me on Party Chat, I think it was, she was in the chat, asked me about Mirage, or it might have been open mic last week. I'd be willing to bump that up ahead of the rebooted games because they're so huge and this one's so much shorter. But I need to find out whether the modern day storyline, if I went straight to Mirage, if that's going to spoil stuff for the modern day storyline from the the games between Syndicate and Mirage, because
Yeah,
I
that's what
don't know what
YouTube's
happens
for.
in between there. That's a good point. I could do that.
You know the weird thing about Mirage is, and I can't explain this, I feel like I've already played it. Like I can't quite put my finger, but I feel like I've already played that game. I
I
don't
was
know if it's
watching.
because it looks so similar to like the first Assassin's Creed,
Yeah,
but just
yeah,
like I
it does.
feel like I've already played this game.
I was watching a video just earlier tonight about like 10 things Mirage doesn't tell you. So whenever I do play it, I have a little bit of a leg up. But that's probably the most of Mirage I've seen so far, other than in the 30-second YouTube ads that I see. I haven't actually followed like anything about the game until now. Um, but it definitely feels like the game world from the first Assassin's Creed, but with a lot of the more modern Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed things thrown in. Like it looks like it's got the combat from the more modern ones. You do actually it looks like you equip different armor and weapons and stuff. Um, and the that kind of stuff looks like it was taken out of the more modern games and then kind of put into the first game. So it looks like a nice mesh of the two.
Yeah, it feels like a step in the right direction, but maybe they went a little bit too far back. I don't know. I gotta play it and really see. Like when I see it on sale for like $20, I'm picking it up. But like I'm not gonna spend $60 or $70.
Yeah,
how much
never buy a Ubisoft game at full price because they will be discounted in like a week. I think Assassin's Creed 1, the original, is the only one I've ever paid. Is the only Ubisoft game I think I played full price for a lot of the Splinter Cells because I bought those on launch because I was so excited for them.
Well, that's fine.
Anything recent, I haven't bought any game, much less a Ubisoft game, at full price.
Yeah, I have impulse control problems. I buy a lot of games I probably shouldn't.
And Beard, thank you for mentioning that because I was thinking about this earlier and then I forgot about it. So I'm glad you brought it up. Y'all, you probably have mentioned it. No, we have not mentioned it yet. But the Deus Ex rebooted franchise. I played the first one. And I always forget which one's which. Human Revolution, I think, was the first one, and Mankind Divided was the second one.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, I played Human Revolution. I completed it 100%, but I never played Mankind Divided, so I don't.
Yeah, I love both those games.
But I had a lot of fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed those games. Despite the flack they got from people, do you kind of know what the big issue that people had with it? Well, more specifically,
the first game?
Human Revolution.
Oh, the boss battles.
Yes, and do you know why that happened?
Why people were upset about it, or like why it happened?
Like what? I guess there's kind of two answers to the question, but like, what was it about the boss battles that led people to despise them? I guess you could say.
Yeah, you could only kill them. Like,
yeah,
there's only one way. Yeah, the only way you could get through the boss is to kill them. But if you're doing a no-kill run, well, that kind of
which I was doing, and it made like the first boss very difficult. But the other answer to that question, where I was trying to lead, but I didn't know how to word it correctly, is the reason why that happened is because the boss battles were outsourced to another developer.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too.
So,
which is bizarre. Like, wait, you designed this entire game, but you can't come up with the boss battles? Like, I wonder why. Like, hey, this is the right thing to do.
Let's delegate this out to a company that doesn't know anything about the game. So, like, let's just make shooter bosses. Like, this isn't just a shooter game. You need to be able to beat these bosses in different ways. Which I believe that they came in later on and patched it at some point. But I do know that I played at least some of the game before that happened.
Yeah, the director's cut, they fixed all that. They fixed the bosses, and they gave you multiple ways of taking care of the bosses, however way you wanted to. Okay. I don't know how long it took for the director's cut to come out. That might have been like a year or two.
I'd have to check because I have a feeling that I completed the game 100% before that happened.
Did the game punish you like for killing bosses if you're doing a no-kill run?
If you're going for the no-kill run, the bosses do not count because the only way to beat them is to kill them. So you can kill the bosses and still get the achievement at the end of the game as long as you don't kill anyone else.
Yeah. Okay.
The one thing that screwed me over, and I had to play through the game again in order to get the no-kill achievement, which wasn't too bad because I did really enjoy the game, was normally you can either take enemies if you're doing a stealth character. You can either take them out non-lethally or lethally, depending on whether I want to say it was B, whether you either tap B is like a non-lethal takedown. If you hold B, it's a lethal takedown. But if you see someone through a wall, and if the wall is thin enough, you can bust through the wall and get them. However, regardless of whether you tap or hold the B button, if you do that animation, it automatically snaps their neck and you kill them. Yeah. I didn't know that because I only tapped B and I got to the end of the game and I didn't get the achievement. I was all upset. And then when I was going through it again, I did the same thing. My roommate happened to be sitting there watching me play. He's like, you're going for the no death achievement, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you just snapped that dude's neck. I'm like, no, I only tapped B. He's like, it doesn't matter. When you do that animation, you kill the person. I'm like, oh, that's why I didn't get the achievement. So I reloaded my save and did it a different way, and then I got the achievement at the end of the game.
When Adam Jensen goes full Kool-Aid man, he has no chill. It doesn't matter. He'll take anybody out on the other side of that wall.
I never asked for this.
Never asked for this.
That guy,
he's everywhere.
the voice actor, I love that guy. I want to say his name is Elias something. And I was because I'm really good with actors' names, and like when I hear someone's voice, I'm like, wait a minute, I recognize that voice from somewhere, and I'm like thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I think it was from this, and I go and look it up. I'm like, nailed it. I was right. And so I was really proud of myself when I watched The Expanse, and I'm like, God, that guy. I don't know if he looks familiar, but he sounds familiar. And as he talked more, I'm like, that's Adam Jensen. The guy didn't last very long in The Expanse, but he was in the first season of Expanse. I'm like, called it.
No, he's in all sorts of games. Like, it's always a surprise. I'm like, oh, it's Adam Jensen.
Yeah, that's what he's known for now, even though he's done a lot of voice acting. But nope, that's the Adam Jensen guy. Yeah, Beard's like, Beard did not know about the boss battles in Human Revolution. Yeah. Outsourced to another developer, and that's why they turned out bad, and everyone was upset about it.
I gotta look that up. I want to know why they did that. Like, oh, okay, we create these complex systems of stealth and options and player choice and all that. All right, hey Jim, do the bosses. It's like, I don't know how to do bosses. Okay, you do the bosses. Like, I never done bosses. Well, I guess we'll have to outsource it. Like, they couldn't figure out how to do bosses. And no, it must have been a time thing. It had to have been a time thing.
That would be my guess. At least that would make the most sense. But yeah, he Beard says he has to go back and do the no alarms. He's not that stealthy.
Neither am I.
Alex, it is kind of fun sometimes to go through a stealth game and not be stealthy. Like, speaking of Splinter Cell, that was one of the cool things that they added in Blacklist was the different play styles. You get rated I love
the way they did that.
How you play through it. There was Panther, Ghost, and Assault. And actually going through an Assault playthrough and just like playing it basically like a third-person shooter, that was a lot of fun to kind of change up how you play that game. Although I think there should have been 4 different play styles essentially, because because basically Panther and Ghost are the same in Blacklist. It's just one is non-lethal, which is Ghost, and Panther is lethal.
Kill, yep.
So it's basically the exact same thing. What there should have been is there should be Assault, which is, go in guns blazing, disregarding the alarms and stealth and stuff. There should have been Panther, which is stealth with killing. I think they should have come up with another name for Ghost and called it something else. Let's, I don't know. We'll just call it Playstyle X because I'm not clever of coming up with names on the fly.
Fisher style. Fishy style.
But where it's basically the same as Panther, where, except it's non-lethal. And then what Ghost playstyle should have been is not taking anyone out and being in and out without anyone even knowing you were there. No knocking anyone out. No killing anyone. Like, literally, no one knows you were there.
So that would be Fisher style.
I think that should have been a play style as well. And that one should have been called Ghost. So, I
it's
think
really,
that, yeah.
One of the things I love about like the Splinter Cell, and actually this kind of applies to like games like Dead Space and Resident Evil 4. Like, when you first play the games, you're kind of stealthy or you're low on resources and all that. But then once you play the game and you go back, especially like in Splinter Cell, it's just cathartic going guns blazing. Because all the times you screwed up and all that, you had to restart. No, you just go in full guns blazing. And it's kind of like that too with like games like Resident Evil 4 and like Dead Space. Like, you get by the skin of your teeth, and then your second playthrough is just like, I'm gonna destroy you all. Like, I like that option.
So I've played Resident Evil 4. We were just talking about Resident Evil 4 in the last party chat. But I never beat Resident Evil 4, but I've never played Dead Space. It is also in my backlog. I'm typically not, it doesn't really matter the medium, but I typically don't do like horror stuff, like scary stuff. But Like I'm most okay with like sci-fi horror, so like Alien or Dead Space. It's like some sort of alien related thing. It's not, but when it comes to like evil spirits or demonic sort of stuff, I definitely am not interested in
Oh,
anything like
then you're
that.
fine. You're fine with Dead Space. I love
Yeah,
Dead Space. I
exactly. It's like
love Dead Space.
I do plan to play Dead Space, and I know it's creepy and it's horror, scary stuff typically isn't my thing, but I'm definitely okay with playing Dead Space. Resident Evil 4, because I played through a good chunk of the game, but I didn't really think that was a horror game because that's the only Resident Evil game I've
Not
ever
really.
played. And I was like, I was expecting this to be scary. I mean, it's a little unnerving and a little creepy, but I wouldn't say it was scary. I definitely wouldn't
No,
have called it a
definitely not
horror
scary.
game. But I think that's because Resident Evil 4 was more kind of where Resident Evil kind of changed direction, became more of an action game than it was a horror game. Because I know the first three were all, or at least I don't know a whole lot about the Resident Evil franchise, but I know the first one, I'm assuming the second and third one were the fixed camera angles, and that definitely makes it more scary because you can't see what's around corners and stuff. Was that all three of them? The first three were all the fixed camera angles?
Yeah, the original 3. So
Okay.
Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil Nemesis were all fixed camera angles.
Yeah,
but now they've all been remade, obviously.
Yeah, in more of the Resident Evil 4 style or the over-the-shoulder camera, right? I know 1 and 2 have. I don't know about 3.
3's been remade. That's
3 has
Nemesis.
Oh, okay. Because 3 is Nemesis, 2 is Mr. X?
2's Mr. X.
Okay.
Actually, Resident Evil 1 still has fixed camera angles. They move around a little bit, but they're still fixed cameras.
They did it like basically like a remaster, but they haven't done a remake of it. Is that right?
No, that is a remake. The Resident Evil 1 is a complete remake of the game. But still in the original. That's what's awesome about it. It's still in the original spirit of the game.
Okay, so they didn't make it the over-the-shoulder style. They did.
No, they keep the fixed cameras.
Okay, I got you now.
Yeah, that was the GameCube exclusive back in back in early 2000s. That was one of their big deals.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting.
That's another franchise I grew up to was Resident Evil. Like I remember when playing the very first original PlayStation 1 came out, and just being freaked out.
Yeah,
those dogs always got me coming through the window.
I've seen that on many like lists of like most famous like video game jump scares is the dog coming through the window. Because I think it changes, so it's not always at the same time, so it really throws you off.
Like, especially like I know in the remake they change it, like when you go through the hallway, like it's coming, and then you have a window that kind of like gets hit, and like a little piece of glass comes out, but the dogs don't come through. So now you really don't know what's happening.
And that happens later.
And then it happens later.
But yeah, I was saying, I think it was just on the last party chat when we were talking about Resident Evil, that I had Resident Evil 4 on GameCube, but I couldn't get into it because the aiming I just thought was so terrible. So when they re-released it on Wii, I traded in my GameCube version for the Wii version. Actually having the Wiimote so I can manually aim made the game so much better. And that's when I actually played through a good chunk of the game. I never finished it though. And a couple years ago, because Resident Evil 4 was on Game Pass and before it left, I'm like, maybe I'll give it another shot back on being on a controller. And it was back to the same thing. I couldn't aim. I couldn't even get through the very opening. Literally the first encounter of the game.
Yeah.
I died like 6 or 7 times. And I'm like, I couldn't even kill like 2 of them. And I'm like, yeah,
I need a mouse and keyboard for RE4.
So Mark is like, dude, you really gotta give it another shot and actually get through it. And I'm like, well, maybe if I get the PC version, maybe, and being able to aim with a mouse and keyboard, maybe that'll do it for me. So I put it on my wish list, and maybe I'll give the PC version a shot at some point, and actually make it through the full game. Especially because the reason why I never finished it is because of the regenerator part. I didn't have the gun or the thermal scope. And because I didn't have any interest in using that gun, and it's like I'm not backtracking through the whole game to go back to that gun and that scope and then come back. Mark was like, "You could just buy that from the vendor." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that."
I think you could slap it on the SMG if I remember right. Like, there's another gun you could slap it on. Yeah.
Mark was telling me that it's not just the hunting rifle. You can put it on another gun as well. I don't know which one it is, but he said it's not just the one gun. I'm like, okay, well, that is good to know. So if I ever give it a shot again, I have a leg up that will help me. I'll be like, when I see that gun, I want to take it with me, even if I don't plan on using it until the regenerators show up. So Beard is saying that the best Splinter Cell is GameCube with the Game Boy Advance radar map. Changed my mind. I didn't even know there was a Splinter Cell on GameCube. And the Game Boy Advance radar map? I have no idea what you're talking about, dude.
You like hook up the Game Boy to the...
That's what I'm thinking. Like, is it like a Wii U situation where you hook the Game Boy Advance up to the GameCube and you use it as a radar? So I have no idea what you're talking about.
That'd be news to me.
That would be awesome, though. And if that's how it worked, then I could definitely understand that. But I didn't even know there was a Splinter Cell on GameCube. Was it the original?
No, it had to have been like Double Agent, maybe.
Because the original was on Xbox, and yeah, the original was on GameCube as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here: GameCube, PC, Xbox, and PS2. Let's see here: Splinter Cell GameCube GBA map. Splinter Cell Game Boy Advance link. This was written in 2012. Okay, the GameCube version of Splinter Cell is the only version of the game to feature an exclusive connectivity mode with the Game Boy Advance, utilizing the Game Boy Cube Game Boy Advance cable, offering enhanced gameplay mechanics that utilized during the action.
Man, that's a deep dive.
Because I was still in the GameCube at the time, but I played Splinter Cell on PC. And if I didn't play it on PC, I would have played it on Xbox because it was a timed exclusive. It didn't come to PS2 and GameCube until later. But one of the things I loved, my buddy played Splinter Cell on the Xbox, and I was like, yeah, I'm glad I played it on the PC because on the PC you can save and load at any time. The Xbox version you only have checkpoints. So one of my favorite things, I would literally take like hours to get through one level, but not because it would take me that long because I like sucked at the game. It's because like I would play through one room one way because there's so many different ways to complete the game because there's a lot of options. So I'd play through a room one way, and then I reload my save at the beginning of that room, and I'd play through that room another way, and then I reload my save and I play through it another way. And then once I did basically all the different ways I could think of, then I move on to the next room. So by the time I beat that level, I'd basically played through that level like 5 different times.
Yeah,
and so
exactly like Hitman.
I love doing that, but you couldn't do that on the Xbox version because you only have checkpoints. You can't like quick save and quick load at any time and create your own saves. But that is, I'll keep this tab up and read more about it later. But I did not even know that existed until just now. So cool, you just taught me something new, Beard.
Man, I hope that Michael Ironside could still do the voice. I know he's been in poor health the last couple of years.
He has. Because I'm pretty sure that's the reason why they got the other voice actor for Blacklist.
That's kind of like what I was saying about like RoboCop earlier. The gun doesn't, like, everything's perfect, but the gun doesn't sound right. I love Blacklist. Like, everything's perfect to me about it, except for Sam Fisher himself.
Yeah, his voice.
Except for the voice.
Yeah, because he's
younger. Now he's like 30 years younger.
Well, the game takes place still. It's the next one in the timeline, but yet now it's this younger guy, and he's like moving around like he's 30 years younger than he should be because they did motion capture his stuff with the voice actor, and Michael Ironside was too old and not in good enough health to do that stuff. But it's like, why? If you're gonna do that, it should probably be like a prequel or something. It shouldn't actually still be the next game in the franchise.
Yeah, because that's the charm of Splinter Cell. It's Sam Fisher. He's over the hill, grumpy, jaded, but lovable and honorable character.
Yes.
That's why I love him. He's an absolute hero. Like, no nonsense.
I totally forgot about this until just now. Did you ever read any of the Splinter Cell books?
I think I read the original Splinter Cell book. I think the one based off the first game, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Yeah, the first one was based on the first game. then all the other books were just other stories in
Yeah.
Splinter Cell in Sam Fisher's life, but didn't tie into the actual books. Although I think one of the later ones did, because I think one of the later books, Sarah, his daughter, was in, but it didn't follow like the other games. But I really enjoyed those. For some reason, every time I heard someone talk about the books, everyone was like ragged on them like they were terrible books. I thought they were great. I really enjoyed them. So
The one
I
I
don't know
read
why
was good.
people
I
are
remember
hating.
liking it.
Yeah,
But
I
then
don't know
again,
why.
I was a fanboy about it, so just like take what I say with a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, every time I heard someone talk about the Splinter Cell books, either whether it was like someone I actually knew or someone in the industry or something, they always like ragged on it for like being terrible books. I'm like, they were great. One thing that was really cool was the last Splinter Cell book, books in parentheses, is I'd have to go pull it out of my box. It's in my closet. I don't remember what it was called, but what the cool thing about it was it was almost like a Mission Impossible where Sam Fisher was on the run from the government because he was like disavowed or whatever, kind of like Tom Cruise is in every Mission
Every
Impossible
single
movie. It's like if he can do this without the government, sanctioning his mission, what could he do with the government sanctioning his missions? But he's on the run, and there's a team of they're not Splinter Cells like him, but they're government agents, like trying to track him down and stuff. But they're basically all rookies, so he's basically like toying with them. But the interesting thing is, it's 2 books that cover the exact same thing. But one book is told from Sam Fisher's perspective, and the other book is told from the perspective of the people chasing him.
That's cool.
It was pretty interesting. So it was cool, like reading one and then going to the other one. You're like, oh, I remember when that happened in the other book, and this has a totally different take on it now that I'm seeing it from the perspective of the team that's trying to track him down this whole time. So I'd have to go or look it up what they were called or pull them out of my box. But that was a pretty cool thing that they did with a couple of Splinter Cell books.
There were a lot of video game novelizations I liked, like the Dead Space books. I really liked Dead Space Martyr and Dead Space. I forgot what the other one was, but just solid. Solid books. That really expanded upon the lore, and the Resident Evil books too. Like I remember reading those when I was in high school. Like I don't know, those could be garbage for all I know, but
you liked it when you read them.
Yeah, I know you're a big fan of the Mass Effect books.
Right there.
Yep.
and then they led me to because they're written by Drew Karpyshyn, and they led me to his Star Wars novels, which are the Darth Bane trilogy. So those are all my Drew Karpyshyn books. The Mass Effect books and the Darth Bane trilogy. And then the last one on there at the end here, that's not Drew Karpyshyn. That's The Heart of the Jedi, which is that one that was, if you remember, like a year ago or so, it was a book that they actually wrote like back in the 90s and never published. And then someone got a hold of it and started printing them until they got shut down by like Disney or something. Yeah. So it was a very limited run. Lost your video, assuming that you didn't turn it off.
No, I'm good. I had to turn it off for a second.
Okay. But yeah, the Mass Effect books, the 3 that were written by Drew Karpyshyn were excellent. There was a 4th book written by someone else that was terrible. Yeah, those 3 Mass Effect books were great. The Splinter Cell books were great. I did read a couple of other they weren't actually written by Tom Clancy, but they were in the Tom Clancy book. They're like in the vein of the Splinter Cell books. It was about, was it the Ghost Recon book? I know there was more than one, but I only ever read one of them. No, I think it was the End War. It was the book about, because End War was the Tom Clancy RTS game, which I never actually played. One of the cool things about it, but I don't think it worked very well, was that you could play it without using the controller because it had voice commands. So you could control the whole game with your voice commands, but I don't think the commands worked very well. So you were better off playing it with the controller. But I think it was the End War book that I read, and it was basically about the preventing World War III. That was pretty good. I read the first Gears of War novel that was written by Karen Travis. That was pretty good. And I've read the Halo trilogy, and I've read a couple other Halo novels that were after that original trilogy. I think those are about it when it comes to video game books I've read. Yeah, I enjoyed a lot of those.
Yeah, I was always impressed by the ones I read, because there had to have been a lore master to kind of keep things in check. It wasn't just somebody doing their own thing, willy nilly.
Yeah,
It sounds like they did that with the Mass Effect books you're talking about. I haven't read those yet.
Yeah, because with those were, like I said, the first three, because I read them before I played the games, so it was really cool when the games reference stuff that happened in the books. I'm like, oh, I know about that. Or you come across some character that in the game doesn't seem to be all that important, but if you read the book, you know exactly who they are. It's like, oh, I know that character. And all the stuff that they've been through.
So they're prequels, right? They take place before the games?
So the first book takes place about 20 years before the first game. And the main characters are Anderson and Saren.
Oh.
And then so if you read that book before you play the game, you kind of understand where some of the stuff is coming from. And they do expand on it a little bit in the game, but not as much as, if you read the book. And then the other two books, I want to say the second book takes place between Mass Effects 1 and 2. And I don't remember when. I think Mass Effect, the third book, takes place not long after it. So around the time of Mass Effect 2 or 3. But yeah, the first one is definitely a prequel. The second one dives into indoctrination and stuff, and how how the Elusive Man studies it, and basically, is that the second one? I might be getting it mixed up, but I know one of them was basically the Elusive Man studying the effects of indoctrination so that he can use it to his advantage, and that plays into how Cerberus was in Mass Effect 3, because in Mass Effect 3 you find out that all Cerberus are basically all indoctrinated soldiers, but instead of being controlled by the Reapers, they're controlled by the Elusive Man.
Yeah, because they never really elaborate that in the games about how he's going about it. I mean, I guess they do actually a little bit, but like not in great depth or anything like that.
Right. Yeah. It expands on that a lot in one of the books, and there was basically Patient Zero, and that's who one of the main characters in the books is, and he gets mentioned, I think, once in the game. So if you hadn't read the books, you'd have no idea who that is. But if you read the book and you hear the conversation about him, you're like, oh, I know exactly what that's talking about. Really interesting book because, he was, I'm pretty sure he was the primary character of the book, and it's talked about like how he's like hearing voices in his head, and it's basically the indoctrination, but he thinks it's his own thoughts. So he thinks that what he's doing is right, but it's the influence of the indoctrination telling him what to do.
I didn't realize until recently, what two franchises are very close together? Mass Effect and Dead Space. Like in terms of like story, kind of like the threat of what's going on. Like Necromorphs versus the Reapers, the indoctrination theory versus the signals from the marker. Just one's a lot more darker. But there's a lot of similarities between the two.
Yeah, I said I haven't played Dead Space, but I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, because I love the lore of Dead Space. Like when I'm at work, sometimes I'll put on just lore videos on YouTube, as they go into it that I could like tune out to. Nice.
Oh, you should maybe already be gone, but good night, Mrs. Vanquish. Yeah, I'm happy to have him on and finally get a chance to talk face to face. So, and then Beard said that he stepped away, and you could connect the GBA, and it showed a limited map and camera angles on the Game Boy Advance.
I'm going to look that up after we're done. I want to see that in action.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've got the article pulled up here, and I definitely want to pull up a video of that too, because I did not know that existed until now. And since we're speaking of Mass Effect, yes or no? Shepard was indoctrinated in Mass Effect 3.
Yes.
In my headcanon, yes, because the indoctrination theory is the best ending for Mass Effect 3. Unfortunately,
I think there's been many times in many different chats I always talk about that with you. Like, yes, indoctrination theory. Yes, indoctrination theory.
Yeah, because when the Mass Effect 3, the original ending of the game, the indoctrination theory very much was a plausible explanation. However, when they released the extended cut, the things that they changed in that made the indoctrination theory not viable. But in my headcanon, I disregard that, and the indoctrination theory is the in my headcanon the canonical ending.
Well, you know what, Mike? Well, you know what, my canonical
Beard says yes. Thank you. We're all on the same page.
Well, you know what my canonical ending of Mass Effect 3 is, right? I got shot in the face by Marauder shields.
Oh, the final boss of the franchise,
Marauder shields.
I remember seeing lots of meme videos about that when that came out.
Was it he died trying to protect you from a bad ending, or I remember all the memes. Oh, Marauder shields. Maybe I'll change my name to Marauder shields. I kind of like that.
That would be kind of a funny meme name, like to show up in like YouTube chat as Marauder shields. See if anybody gets it.
I just know I'll never understand why they didn't just go with it. I mean, they had a perfect lineup to knock that out of the park, but they
could have because
they got
that was a fan theory.
Yeah,
so
it worked.
And that fan theory existed before the extended ending came out, so they could have just adopted it and said this is it, and said this was the ending.
Yeah,
this was the real ending from the whole time. We just didn't have time to finish it.
And, you guys are smart. You figured it out.
Yeah, so like basically take the good ideas from the community and say it was ours, just not give them any credit. They definitely could have done that.
So where is Shepard at the end of Mass Effect 3? Because at the very end, you see him breathe. He's in the wreckage of the Citadel, or is he still on the ground before the portal? Because if it's indoctrination theory is true, then he's still got to be on the ground. He would have never made it through the portal.
Right.
I think.
Because in the actual video game canon, I believe the destroy ending is the canonical ending.
That's the right ending.
Yeah.
I remember when it first came out, me and JT, late night with Cap, we got into an argument about the ending.
So you've been friends with him for a long time then.
Oh, long time. Yeah, he used to live, 15 minutes from me. He used to hang out.
Oh, so you guys have been friends IRL.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. I did not know that.
But one of the arguments, well, not an argument, but we got into, but like
debate.
I picked the destroyed ending because like I didn't come all that way and sacrifice everything I had to do just to convert them or let them live. Like, no, I'm destroying them. And then he picked the blue one, which was control. Yeah, control.
Yeah, but green was synthesis.
Yeah, green was synthesis. But his logic at the time was red means bad, blue means good.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still believes it now, but I remember getting out like, yeah, blue, it's good. It's like, no, it's not. It's red is this proper. This is the proper way to go about it. I think he has changed his mind, but I remember in the beginning it's just like, no, the blue, it's blue, it's good. That's the good ending. Like, no.
That makes sense. It's based on most video game tropes.
I guess it's actually kind of clever, like to trick people, like, hey, blue's good, red's bad, so don't pick the red one. I think
that's why they did those colors, is to kind of mess with people. I think on my first playthrough, I think I did synthesis ending. But there are more than just those three options.
Yes.
Although those ones are the only ones where you can actually have a real ending. Because not a lot of people know that the other two options are, well, one's not really an intentional option, because in that part you walk so freaking slow because you're basically you're clinging to life like hair's breadth from death, and so I couldn't make up my mind, so I was walking back and forth between them. But you're walking so slow, it's like you're taking too long, and then the the Citadel was destroyed by the Reapers, and then, so that was my very first ending. Was
wait, if you take way too long and not do anything at all?
Yeah, if you take too long and don't do anything, you'll fail, and the Reapers will destroy the Citadel.
Ooh, I didn't know that. I know the one about shooting the Star Child, I think.
That's the other one where most people probably know about it, but not everyone. But you can shoot the Star Child and not, basically get a non-ending. But if you don't make a decision fast, it's pretty long though. It's like 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you don't make a choice within that 5 or 10 minutes, you'll get another essential non-ending of the Citadel will be destroyed and you'll fail.
Hundreds of hours over three games total, and you time out at the ending.
Yeah, so that's the one that most people probably don't know about.
What a thrilling ending!
Yeah, that's one that most people probably don't know about. And I got it by accident, but of course, it reloads your last checkpoint, which is at the Star Child. But and Beard is saying, much like Lost, the fans outthought the writers who had painted themselves into a corner. There was little to no possibility for a satisfying finale. Yes, I loved Lost, except for the final ending. I thought it was god-awful, terrible, atrocious garbage. But I liked the show. And I could say basically word for word the exact same thing about How I Met Your Mother. Loved the show, but the ending was terrible.
I've heard.
Terrible. Just terrible. Terrible. But I did like that show. So,
fumble at the 1 yard line.
Yeah, just like that's what I used to say about Mass Effect, because for so long people said most people consider Mass Effect 2 to be the best one in the franchise, but a lot of people, like, for a long time, it's probably not so much now, since it's been around for so long, people kind of come around on it, especially after Andromeda. But for so long people were like, Mass Effect 3 was a terrible game. It's like, no, the ending was terrible, but the game itself was phenomenal. So that's usually what I say is fumbled. They fumbled it at the 1 yard line.
Well, we'll see how Mass Effect 4 turns out.
Yeah, I hope. Given that the BioWare that we know doesn't really exist anymore, I don't have high hopes for it, but I'm hoping it's just better than Andromeda. Or, well, at my lowest bar, I would say hopefully it does come out and doesn't get canceled or scrapped or something. And assuming it does come out, I just hope it's better than Andromeda. So I have a pretty low bar for it.
Yeah, Morian was the man, Beard.
Oh,
I can,
yes.
Yeah, best enemy character.
Great character. I don't know if he was my favorite, but he was definitely a great.
I have to think. Oh no, I gotta go Garrett. Garrett was the homie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Garrett was the real one. But Morian, I could never, like, I think I did a bad playthrough of Mass Effect 3. I could never do like the bad ending where you shoot Morian and then you don't cure it. Like I'm too good of a nice guy. Like I can't even do it just to see what it's like. I just went on YouTube and just saw what it's like. Like, okay. I can't bring myself to actually do it in game.
Yeah, I've done a Renegade playthrough of all of them, but yeah, when I did my Renegade playthrough of Mass Effect 3, oh my god, that was like probably the worst one. But there were so many points in Mass Effect 3 playing through Renegade playthrough. I'm like, I feel like the worst person in the world. I actually did it, but it was really difficult. I'm like, I want to choose the other one because this is so terrible. But I got to do it because I'm committed to playing this Renegade character. But yeah, I know what you meant. It was hard, and I'm ignoring you, Kay. We're in a spat, so I'm ignoring her. It says had to be me. Someone else might have gotten it wrong.
Had to be me. Somebody else might have gotten it wrong.
Great
Story that song that he sings.
Oh yeah, the model of a scientist, Solarian.
Yeah. I should memorize.
I remember seeing stuff about that, but I didn't see that in my first playthrough. I'm like, what is everyone talking about? So then when I played through it again, I made sure I got to see that, go through that storyline with him, because I don't think I did all. Because I think you get that if you go through his side missions and gain his loyalty. But
yeah,
I don't know if I did it. If I got everyone's loyalty in my first playthrough of Mass Effect 2. That would be very unlike me, but I don't remember seeing that until my second playthrough.
Oh, you're talking about the Morian Mass Effect 3, where he cures everybody.
No, I saw that. I'm just talking about when he does his that song and does some of his theatrical stuff. I think
that
no,
was
you know what? That is in Mass Effect 2. I think it's that if you want to see that, you have to like check in with your teammates after each of the main story missions, and I didn't do that. You can still gain their loyalty if you do their loyalty mission, but I didn't get that because I didn't go talk to everyone after every single mission, so I missed that when talking to him on the Normandy. So yeah, Kay has been harassing me a lot more than usual lately. So we've gotten some disagreements about some Star Wars stuff, and so she keeps rubbing salt in the wound. So, well, we are just about. Oh,
I was about to say you got beef with Mace Windu.
She does. Oh. She thinks Ahsoka is a better character than Mace Windu, and I'm like, that's blasphemy. I think Mace Windu was an awesome character.
I don't know enough about Ahsoka.
She hates Mace Windu.
I don't know enough about her.
So we did bond last night. I think it was last night on their stream over the Sacramento Kings because I'm Sacramento native. So and the Kings in the early 2000s when they were at the peak of their game and they got screwed over by the Lakers refs, we bonded over that in stream. Yeah, see, thank you. Beard is like, what? Tell me you got my back, Beard. Go tell Kay how wrong she is that she thinks that Ahsoka is better than Mace Windu. She hasn't made it all the way through like all of Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff yet. So she's currently doing that. But I think probably when she finishes that, her and me and James, and I don't know if anyone else is going to, we're probably going to do a Star Wars discussion stream because James says that Clone Wars and Rebels are great. And I think Rebels is not good. And I think Clone Wars is okay. So we're probably going to have a discussion about.
Yeah, I've only seen bits and pieces of the shows. So. It's Mace Windu. It's Samuel Jackson. Purple lightsaber.
Although James did make a good point that, like, when you see Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu, it's hard to see Mace Windu and not Samuel L. Jackson because he's such a prominent actor. Whereas most Star Wars actors are not huge name people.
Yeah.
Or
Mace Windu is Samuel L. Jackson.
But when they were in Star Wars, they weren't really known for a lot of other stuff. Whereas like Samuel Jackson, when he was in Star Wars, everyone knew him from like everything. So I could definitely understand. Like it's hard to see him as Mace Windu and not just Samuel Jackson. So I do understand that. But he's still an awesome character. Didn't
they actually like mark on his lightsaber, like in Pulp Fiction, his wallet says "Bad MFer"? Did they actually? Then wasn't there a story where they actually put that on his lightsaber?
Yes. I don't know specifically what it was, but I do know that he had something engraved on his lightsaber hilt in Star Wars that had to do with
Pulp Fiction.
Think it was Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction.
Yes, Beard and I are on the same page. Just watch Tartakovsky's Mace Windu the fight with the battle droids. He doesn't even have a lightsaber; it's his bare hands. And tell me he isn't the most badass. Yes, and that's what I'm saying is that the Tartakovsky Clone Wars fits in between episodes 2 and 3 perfectly. The TCW Clone Wars does not fit between episodes 2 and 3. It ruins the lore.
Shocking.
So. That was the 2D Clone Wars, not the Disney. I'm assuming that was supposed to be Disney Plus. Disney The Clone Wars. Yeah, I think Beard and I are on the same page. So maybe Beard and I need to come on and debate James and Kay when we have our Star Wars stream at some point.
You need to have a counterpoint session. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that at some point. I don't know when it's going to be because she's got a lot to get through. Clone Wars does not ruin the lore in my opinion. They literally explain it in season 7. I don't think that's a good explanation. So, but we'll get to it at some. Yeah, see, Beard's the same page, buddy. It's okay. When we have our Star Wars stream, let's get Beard on so we have 2v2 because I know James is on your side too. So that'll be fun at some point. Don't know when that's going to happen, but I'm looking forward to that at some point. So. Well, we are already past 2 hours. Was there anything else? I know time flies by when you're having fun. Was there anything else that you kind of wanted to talk about before we sign off here for the night?
No, I think I'm good. I touched on RoboCop. That is the one thing I was really enjoying as my my nostalgia meter was going through the roof with that. So I'm happy to be able to share that. Yeah. But man, I'm looking forward to playing that. I'm looking forward to playing that entire game.
Cool. Yeah. I am looking. Like I said, I'm not huge on RoboCop, so I don't know if I'm actually going to play that game at some point. I probably will, but I'm definitely more so looking forward to getting to Terminator Salvation at some point, because I do own that already and it's in my backlog.
Yeah.
So
Resistance. Yeah, great. Yeah, love it.
Oh, Salvation. I keep getting.
I mix them up. Yeah, I mix them up too.
Resistance is the game. But yes, I'm looking forward to playing that at some point. And if I can get it, because I know I got Resistance just not that long ago. Because it came out in like 2015 or something. It's been around a while, but I didn't hear anyone talk about it until probably within the last year or two. And I've heard people mention it all of a sudden. It's like, okay, I need to add that in my backlog.
Angry Joe was flaming it, like you were saying, like, oh, they're not the right laser colors. Like no, you obviously didn't play through the whole game.
I don't even remember. That's the only thing I remember from that review. I don't even remember if he said he actually liked the game or not. I just remember complaining about the lasers being purple.
I don't think he did. That's what kind of shocked me about that review, because he's usually very hardcore of being faithful to original material, and that game was very faithful to the original material, or I should say respectful, as opposed to the movies. Gotcha. But that's a whole nother thing.
Okay. So yeah, if I got Resistance when it was on sale within the last few months. So
yeah.
Once I see RoboCop go on sale, I'll probably pick that up too at some point. So it's not even out yet. So the time it's going to be on sale, big enough discount for me to play it, then it'll probably have been out a while. Oh, thank you, Paul. Paul checked. It was 2019. Yeah. Okay, so it's not as old as I thought it was, but I hadn't heard anyone really talk about it until within the last year or so.
Great game. Great game.
Cool. Well, I had a ton of fun chatting with you tonight, and glad to give you your YouTube debut.
Yeah, yeah, it was fun actually coming on here finally, and not just being in the chats. Yeah, it's a whole different experience, but yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to plug? You planning on making a channel, talk about stuff at some point?
You guys do it way better than I could.
Kind of like a Beard. He doesn't have his own channel. He just shows up on everyone else's.
Yeah. No, you guys do a way better job than I could, and you're far more consistent than I would ever be.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, but no, I had an absolute great time talking with you, and
me too.
Hanging out.
Well, me talking with you, not me talking with myself.
And chatting with people and hanging out with chat.
Oh, yeah. Wait, is this Vanquish's YouTube cherry? Yes, This is his YouTube cherry.
Yep.
That's one way of putting it.
I think I do have a YouTube channel, but there's nothing on there. There's like nothing on there at all. So don't even bother.
Yeah, it's probably like when you sign up for YouTube, you essentially have a channel. But my Brofet one has like 4 subscribers. It's like the only thing I've ever done is go into watch YouTube videos and chats and live stream chats and stuff. So I didn't actually start this one until I was ready to really get going.
Yeah, and then I just got my Twitter, obviously, or X, the app formerly known as Twitter.
You pull it up on your browser, it's still twitter.com. So
as
long as it's twitter.com, I'm still calling it Twitter. But I did put your Twitter link in the stream description. So if anyone wants to go follow him on Twitter, the link is there. So, and Beard is saying he's glad he watched for a bit. Good night. Good night, Beard. Night. Glad to see you in the chat, and I had a lot of fun having you on Party Chat on Saturday. So, last thing before we wrap up here is the next thing I got on my agenda is no Party Chat this Saturday. The next Party Chat will be next Saturday, the 21st. I still don't have a guest host yet, so if anyone wants to come on and talk about more spooky themed video games, let me know. I'm still looking for that guest host for that.
There to be some Dead Space discussion in that one.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll probably come up, or Resident Evil. But the very next thing I've got coming up is next week's open mic will not be on Thursday. I am changing it to accommodate their schedule. It will be on Tuesday. It was supposed to be last week, but we had to reschedule. So on Tuesday the 17th for open mic, it'll be earlier in the evening. It won't be the late night. I think it'll be around 6 or 7 Pacific. Is going to be with Extra Zero. So if anyone wants to listen to us talk about video games, because I've been wanting to get him on for a long time and talk video games because he has an epic man cave. So I'm definitely going to be talking to him about that if you've ever seen the pictures of it. And he's got, he has his figure action podcast every Saturday, which is why it's unlikely that he'd be able to make Party Chat because it's about the same time as mine, because he's got a massive collection of Voltron, Transformers, all sorts of stuff. So
I got so much stuff too. My walls, I've been redoing my whole man cave too, so my walls are kind of barren right now. I actually just mounted that TV back there. I want to set up like a retro gaming station back there.
Nice.
And just have like another little area there.
Over your right shoulder there on top of that short bookshelf, is that your other shoulder? Is that it looks like a model of the ISS, is that right?
That is. Yep, that is indeed.
I love me space stuff, and astronomy was always my favorite subject. So
yeah. Oh yeah, and here I'll nerd out really quick 1 second. This is my next one.
The Mars rover.
Yep.
Nice. Oh, I love me my Legos too. Thank you. Kay just corrected me. That's right. Extra Zero has his Legion of Memer streams on Saturdays. His figure action streams are on Thursday. Thank you. That's right. I messed that up. So thank you for that correction, Kay. So, had a fantastic time talking to you and having Beard and Kay show up in chat, and Paul helping fix our audio issues. Appreciate you for that again. So had a great time chatting with you, and you ever want to come on again and talk video games, let me know.
Absolutely.
We can make it happen. So good night, everyone. And in the meantime, game on.